I don't know if that is. To finance.
It doesn't surely say that anywhere.
Doesn't, I'm not surprised.
Like, look at future.
That was a made up story.
Yeah, well, there's that.
We're getting desperate, you have to like, okay, hold on, can we get by without this?
It's never used to be.
Pretty good.
Mhm.
Evening and welcome to the regular town council meeting for November 18th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask everybody to join me in reciting the pledge of allegiance. The pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's you join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Moving on to item number 4, adoption of the minutes. I look for a motion from the council to adopt meeting minutes from October 21st, 2025.
Make a motion to adopt the regular meeting held on October 1st, 2025.
Second. Moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments on the meeting minutes from October 21st? From the council or the audience? Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution, not resolution, of adopting the meeting minutes from October 21st, 2025, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, resolution, regular meeting minutes are passed. Moving on to item number 6, 5, we have none. Moving on to item number 6, we do have a public hearing tonight. Nicole, can you please read resolution 25-116?
Resolved that the town council hereby ordains that chapter 2B general assistance ordinance appendices A through G be rescinded and the new appendices A through G be adopted to reflect the revised maximums for the period of October 1st, 2025 to September 30th, 2026.
Look for a motion from the, look for a motion to open this up to a public hearing.
Make a motion, we open resolution 25-116, the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on resolution 25-116? This is kind of a yearly thing that we have to.
State does an annual update of the,
General assistance.
basically the ordinance that we follow to be part of the state's general assistance program, and they update it every year.
That's all this is doing, is
That's all it is.
implementing that. Hearing nothing from the audience, anything from the council? I'll look for a motion to close the public hearing and to adopt resolution 25-116.
I make a motion, we close public hearing and adopt resolution 25-116.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of resolution 25-116, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 25-116 passes. Moving on to item number 7, town manager's report.
Few things going on. One of our agenda items pertains to the MDOT's large culvert project scheduled for next summer, Osborne Brook and Farnham Brook. And one of the things that they've let us know about that project is their plan is to do a full road closure. It's gonna be about 45 days, they estimate. They said they did look into a temporary bridge or trying to stage construction to not have to do that, but they said it wasn't feasible given the site conditions, so it's something we wanna kind of make people aware of, that there'll be some traffic rerouting for a fair amount of time around that work area.
This is a Farnham Brook.
Farnham and Osborne Brook, that's like just on the side of the web road.
Oh, wow,
Yeah, so it's a major,
significant
it's a major detour.
rerouting, yeah.
Yeah. Their
A long
official,
reroute.
it's a long one. Their official one, because they won't actually publish a detour unless it's all over state roads. So their published detour for this will be the interstate. People will obviously not, use that if they don't have to.
Right.
It'll be,
So as a town,
As a
we
town.
should be publishing a detour as well
yeah, I mean,
for local, like.
they basically just leave it up to us, how we
Yeah.
want to handle, publicizing alternative routes.
Yep.
They'll publish, just use I-95.
Significant, yes. Okay,
Um,
when did that start?
so usually those large culvert projects they can't start before July 1, and they have to be done by September 30th, just because of the permitting and, being, the stream, working in the stream, and so it's really when I expect it is August and into September probably.
Only summer traffic, that's good. No worries there, all right. All right, well, at least we know.
Yeah, so anything changes with that, I'll keep you guys posted. So one of the things that we kind of have looking ahead is we have quite a bit of tax acquired property, and we've had some people ask about certain parcels that may not be tax acquired, but just have maybe been held by the town and not needed or used for an extended period of time. The butters, want to know about the status of certain things. And a few years ago, the regulations about how to handle tax acquired property have changed a lot. There's a Supreme Court ruling, and then the state of Maine had to basically pass a new law pertaining to tax acquired property disposition that matched up with that ruling. So we all have kind of a new framework now, and so I'm having our legal counsel kind of help us put together a policy that follows all those guidelines, so that when we want to move ahead with, putting either tax acquired property up for sale or non-tax acquired, we have a process to follow that, will comply with, the regulations we're supposed to comply with, so. I'm trying to get that, so, that might be able to be in front of the council in December. It wouldn't be, I don't think it'd be too hard for us to do that, give something to look at. The town and BTEC, the theater group, successfully closed on the theater. They closed on the theater Friday, November 7th. And so that's a done deal, so to speak. And the brownfield assessment work is wrapping up. In the final pieces of that put together. And that'll obviously benefit the theater group to be eligible for those funds as a nonprofit in the future, if they're needed. I understand that there's been, some talk in the past about getting some more street lighting in a couple areas, the corner of Beltoma and Main Street, maybe an area that we could light a little bit better. And then also at the end of Industrial Park Road by the trailer park, I've kind of started the process of seeing what it might take to at least get a cost estimate for a few more lights in those areas. If that's something I want to move ahead with, I can bring that information to the council. Just kind of see what that all looks like. Kudos to our election crew. I think we had a good, smooth election. Everything seemed to go smooth, and Nicole didn't seem too stressed. But we had over 1,000 total votes cast, and we had 170 absentee ballots cast. So I think that's a pretty good turnout for kind of an off year. And I also wanted to mention that at the Legion Post 32's annual meeting, they recognized the town for all of our support over the past year with a certificate.
Awesome.
And that they really appreciate the support we're giving them for events that they've been involved with, like the, you know, the Memorial Day Parade and things like that.
That's nice, good.
So
That's it. Great. Thank you, Jack. Moving on to department reports. Those are in your packets. If you have any questions or concerns, certainly bring those up. Moving on to old business, there is none. Moving on to new business. And I'm gonna go a little rogue because we have Rob Steves here. And we are gonna go to resolution 25-121. Can you read that, Nicole?
Resolved that the town council waive the bid process and extend the mowing contract with Steve's Property Maintenance for a 3-year term through the 2028 mowing season.
Look for a motion from the council.
Will be adopt resolution 25-121.
Second. Moved and seconded. Jack, do you wanna speak to anything there, or
yeah,
you kind of give us the clip notes, and that's great.
yeah, Rod reached out and expressed interest in extending the current contract. And allowing us to be able to kind of plan our expenses over the next 3 years, which is helpful to us. Versus, you know, doing it annually, and seemed to come in, you know, pretty reasonably looking out that long, with some pretty minimal increases, and so I'm bringing it forward for the council's consideration.
Alrighty. Rob, do you have anything you want to say, or it's pretty self-explanatory, but?
Yeah, it's pretty much, pretty self-explanatory. I mean, we did this 3 years ago. I just asked, we're asking this year, for the first year to go up 5% and then 3% each year for 2 and 3. We also made some potential changes on there with the way that, everything's being invoiced out instead of being invoiced bi-weekly. Just doing monthly invoices. I mean, it's the same dollar figure at the end of the year. It's just easier for everybody to kind of keep track of, so.
Sure.
And then the other thing you mentioned was that when we completed the new hangars, there was a little bit more mowing that you'd been doing anyways. For the airport, we just specified those couple of areas that you've added on there at the airport.
So, 3 years ago, when that new hangar got installed, they had the retention pond. The gentleman down at Curtis Air had approached us about maintaining that due to FAA regulations or whatever. So we've been doing that in additional, and I've just been adding on a charge to their portion of the invoice. So we're just basically have updated that portion to reflect the new areas that we've been maintaining for the last few years.
Sure. Great. Sounds pretty fair and reasonable. Obviously, it's good for everybody to be able to budget what they're trying to do, what you're trying to do. Yeah, makes good sense to me anyway. All right, are there any other comments or questions from the audience regarding resolution 25-121? Hearing none. Any questions, concerns, or comments from the council? Hearing none, I sense we are ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 25-121, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 25-121 passes.
Perfect. Thank you,
Good deal,
guys.
thank you, appreciate it, appreciate your help,
You as well.
appreciate all your help, have a
No
good
problem.
one.
Thank you.
Yep, take care. All right, we will hop back to resolution 25-118, Nicole.
Resolved that the town council appoint Cameron Ferrante Lottery LLP to serve as bond counsel to the town of Pittsfield and to approve the engagement letter.
Look for a motion from the council,
Move we adopt resolution 25-118.
moved and seconded.
So, bond counsel is needed for us to, move ahead with all the loans we have for the utilities, the water and sewer, the clean water fund, the drinking water fund. And then our portion of the Birchwood project, it's all through the bond bank to, a couple of different programs. But we need to have bond counsel sign off that basically it's a tax exempt project and that, we process this correctly and everything. And so our attorney, doesn't have bond counsel as part of that firm, so we have to kind of go outside of there. And, so I reached out to the other attorney that we had kind of as a person who dealt with conflict on a road issue, and I asked her if she happened to be bond counsel. She said, no, I'm sorry, I'm not bond counsel, but she said that she always, recommends this gentleman as bond counsel for any of her clients, because it's really, all he does. And Annalise actually has many of these same projects going on right now, with this gentleman as bond counsel. And they really, coordinate kind of, hand in hand and effectively. So I would recommend that we engage with Pretty Flaherty for Cameron Ferrante to serve as our bond counsel. And then we'll have a lot of things to kind of pull together over that, really, some things over the next month and then quite a bit more over the next couple of months to make sure everything's on track for the spring when we need access to the funds.
Sure. Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Jack. Are there any questions from the audience? No.
No question.
Any questions or concerns from the council regarding 25-118? Makes good sense. So all those in favor of resolution 25-118, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 25-118 passes. Moving on to resolution 25-119, Nicole.
So that the town council approved the Maine Department of Transportation utility receivable agreement for utility coordination on the Osborne Brook and Farnham Brook culvert project.
Look for a motion from the council.
Move we adopt resolution 25-119.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Jack, is there anything you wanna?
Yeah, so this is almost the exact same scenario with utility coordination as we ran into on North Main Street. If you recall, back in the spring, Annalise was here and said that the DOT's completely gonna reconstruct North Main Street. And they're gonna install storm drains and catch basins and we have water and sewer literally in their way, and we have to move it. And so we had to, basically put together a budget for what we think it would cost to move all our stuff out of the DOT's way and relocate it where it's gonna be still functional and everything and buried deep enough and everything. And so what the DOT always offers is that you can make your utility work part of their bid. So their contractor that's coming in and doing their work will do it, and they just do it as a bid addendum. And that way you don't have two different contractors that are conflicting with each other because DOT needs it done by Friday and they're not on whatever. Plus, you've already paid for them, DOT's really already paid for the mobilization for the contractor to be there, so it's usually cheaper. So they offer these agreements, and basically what we agreed to is say, yeah, go ahead and bid our work. And what we did on North Main Street is we took the opt-out provision, which just says that if the bid comes in 15% higher than what our budget estimate is, we have the option, we don't have to, but we have the option to opt out and try to go another route, or we can just stay in because we still think that's the cheapest. But we have an opt-out if it comes in over 15%. So when that came back, Annalise's budget figure, I think, was $190,000. 198,000, it was 198,000, and it came back at 180,000, so we were the bid came in way under our budget estimate, and hopefully this one will too. Annalise estimates that it'll be a $40,000 utility coordination piece to get our water line out of the way of this culvert replacement. And so hopefully it comes in under that.
Okay. Next one, are there any questions from the audience regarding resolution 25-119? Any questions, concerns from the council? Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 25-119, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 25-119 passed. Moving on to resolution 25-120, Nicole.
Resolved that the town council approves a memorandum of understanding with M. French and Sons Trucking for airport plowing for the 2025-2026 season.
Look for a motion from the council.
Will be adopted resolution 25-120.
Second.
Moved and seconded. And Jack, like to speak to this?
So typically the plowing at the airport is, we've done in the past through Curtis Air. They hire somebody and then we just pay Curtis Air and they basically have a sub that does it. And Caleb kind of gave us a heads up last spring that the person they had doing it for the last 10 years was going to get done and not do it this year. And at least not be the primary, that person is willing to, still pitch in and, fill in if needed, we're getting to buy, but we would kind of come up with a different plan for plowing the airport. And one of the other things Caleb mentioned was that we're gonna look at if there was a more efficient way to get it all plowed, because in the past it had all been plowed with a big loader. And that's kind of slow going to plow the entire runway with that loader. And so what we came up with was if we had a wheeler go on and make a couple of passes and make 2 windrows on each side of the runway, then we could go in with a snow blower, not we, but whoever's doing it, can go in with a snow blower and basically just blow those windrows off the runway and save a lot of time. And then the loader would just be for, taxiways and the non-runway areas. So we reached out to Matt French to see if he'd be willing to, make a couple passes. This would be obviously prioritized after, he's gotten through the town route. Just go over, make a couple passes on the runway, get it so that that all could be, blown with a snow blower and hopefully get through that whole snow clearing process quicker at the airport. So he gave us a kind of a flat rate to do the whole season, regardless of the number of storms. 14,000, just well within what we had planned for. So,
Are there any questions from the audience regarding resolution 25-112, 120? Any questions from the council? If there's a large storm, 2 feet of snow or, 1.5 foot of snow, is he gonna have to make multiple passes? Is that snow blower gonna be powerful enough will there be some big windrows?
yeah,
I don't know,
well, I mean, we'll get rid of the windrows in there another.
yeah, well, true, yeah, you could always get them with the loader if you have to, yeah, okay. Yeah, just wasn't sure, and then, like with
Yeah.
planes, I mean,
Well, so the only, the thing that will, be the, just the thing to try to keep ahead of is when there are, more urgent flights that need to get out on a certain time, is just to make sure that we can accommodate that. It's not BIA or anything, but there are, flights that really, we try to, keep the runway in shape that they can get in and out of.
sure,
So that we'll just try to stay
Right.
on top of that as best we can. And that's why the person who did it last year will, if, French's is tied up on a big storm, we'll be able to utilize the person who was there last year to kind of pitch in and help out.
right. or worst, the town could.
Yeah,
They had-
yeah, and we'll be, and we're actually gonna be the one supplying somebody for the loader to go and do the rest of that stuff, so we'll be one of our guys that's doing that. Yeah, but,
Okay.
to have that person coming in, it just won't tie our guy up as long.
Right, yep. All right, any other questions? Concerning that? Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 25-120, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 25-120 passes. Moving on to resolution 25-122, Nicole.
Resolved that the town council approve the town of Pittsfield tax increment financing TIF policy.
Look for a motion from the council.
Move to adopt resolution 25-122.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Jack, do you want to speak to this? This is kind of something we talked about last meeting.
Yeah, we going to move ahead last meeting, we put together a TIF application for basically the VPI area, which is going to also include the church parcel that, Mr. Dow is developing. So he would be able to participate in, in a TIF arrangement with this project, but then as we get through the VPI and other properties want to do projects, we'll be in a position to offer TIFs throughout this district. One thing towns typically do, not every town does, but towns typically have a TIF policy that kind of establishes a criteria so that, there's things that the council would go by in terms of whether you wanted to establish a TIF district, in some other area towns at some time in the future. And so, KB is working with us on getting this TIF district application kind of pulled together, and I reached out to some other communities to see what their TIF policy looked like. This one, interestingly, is pretty much based on the one that Somerset County has. Somerset County's adopted a TIF policy. And I think it really, from all the ones that I saw and looked at, I think it really gives the council the most flexibility to look at TIFs on a case by case basis and apply a criteria to it. I think it's a real workable policy and pretty well done. So carrying that forward if something that council would like to adopt.
Great. That sounds good. Is there any questions from the audience regarding resolution 25-122?
I do have a question.
Yes.
With the TIFs and the district, is there any sort of, is there anything in place to kind of steer towards certain businesses or not? So as people apply.
Like what businesses would qualify and what ones wouldn't?
Yeah, or like a limit, like, you're gonna have like 8 restaurants or 5 coffee shops or, a hot shop or whatever may try to get from there to try to get those tax incentives. Is there any sort of criteria? And I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, and it might be in that, to say, the kind of in the guidelines of these will and these will not.
Qualify.
Yeah,
Qualify
qualify
for,
or
yeah.
to try to get in certain businesses or keep other businesses sort of.
Out of that.
Not pushed out, but.
Right.
Unincentivized.
Don't incentivize them.
Yeah, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bullet points of criteria in the form of questions. Does the project create or retain long-term and permanent employment with wages equal to or higher than the local average wage? Does the proposal improve the general economy or the community? Will improvements have a net positive impact on Pittsfield businesses, community, after considering all factors, including effects on established businesses? Does the project minimize traffic impacts? And is it designated in a manner that does not contribute to commercial sprawl? If the proposal includes new construction, is it visible from the public road, and is proposed new construction aesthetically compatible with the style and setting of surrounding buildings and all state and local ordinances? So it gives us a chance to, you know, be, and there's more than that, but to basically look at projects that, you know, the town wants to support with incentives versus maybe ones that the town doesn't want to support with incentives.
Is there anything in that, and it's kind of broad, but moral or ethical? And it's a very big thing, but what the public vote on something that may, and we'll go with something that's kind of, and I would say probably 50-50 across the state, but like a pot shop. It's a medical or recreational, so when what's come in legal here in the state, people in the town may or may not support it. And depending on your views, may or may not contribute to a moral or ethical.
Yeah, I mean, I think
It's more based on the merit and the impact that the business is gonna have on the town, I think, more so than what it is actually for a business, right? So it's gonna be a mom and pop shop that's gonna, you know, be very small and have a very small impact to that business, or
I mean, it may bring in a lot of, and that's just one example, that, because I just see them popping up everywhere. It may bring in a lot of money to the town. It may, meet all the criteria that you put in there, but it may not be something that, or it may be something that.
the town supports or
Yeah.
town wants on their main street or.
It may lower taxes, but people may not.
It's-
Or
but it's
they may support it.
overall impact too, like jobs created, exposure and opportunity, what else it can bring into the town, and you know, I think that a lot of that would be weighed before it would just be applied to.
Right. And we do have other ordinances in place to.
Yeah.
That prohibit. You know, what they can be and what they can't be.
And one of the things that's part of the process, because these have to be, once they're all put together, they have to be submitted to the state, and the state has to approve the establishment of the TIF district. And the state requires that we hold a public hearing and let the public comment
That's what I was gonna ask.
on, whether or not this should be a TIF district. But that's typically on the back end after you've put a lot of time and expense in the application. But if there was something that the council wanted to, you could always have a public hearing on the front end. And just to, because like last week, it was a vote to move forward with the application. You could always decide, okay, before we're gonna decide to move forward on any application, hold a public hearing and get public input on
Right.
whether people think that would be a good endeavor to pursue for the town, to offer that incentive. And then you probably still have to hold one on the back end.
Right.
You have a bunch of, numbers and charts and, tables developed at the end that we have to have, but, so yeah, you can always do that.
Right. But I mean, could you explicitly put in that we do not, like, these businesses do not qualify? Or is that like too defined?
I think it's too defined
to-
because this gives you the chance just to make that decision once you
On
look at
your
the
own, yeah,
application.
yeah.
And that's not what I wasn't gonna like exclude any certain business, but kind
No,
of
but,
keep it, keep it fair where if the council has, and council voted in by,
Alright,
as a representative of the people, but if the council has certain views that may differ from, other pieces, that it's not singling out or giving a undue advantage
Right.
to certain businesses. Your personal preference, knowledge of the person, or feelings about the type of business. Or, 5 coffee shops within, 10 spaces would be poor business, but also really wouldn't benefit the town probably.
What do we have for historical and what's been, I mean, I know a couple of them, but that have been done in the town in the last, say, decade?
So we have, the solar.
Yes, or solar
Project down on Route 2.
And the
Nitro,
Nitro.
right, so very large impacts as far as what it's delivering to the community, not necessarily a small restaurant or family, right, that's gonna have hire 2 or 3 people, right, that's kind of not what this is driven at, I don't believe, this is to basically entice or incentivize medium to larger industry to come in this place that's gonna really do something to impact the town, so not necessarily, I wanna give my buddy something to open up, you know,
Right.
a tack shop around the corner, whatever the case would be, but it's, I'm not saying it can't be, but it's more driven towards that larger impact.
But, I mean, it is incentivizing almost
Anything,
any business
right,
to come to our downtown,
it is,
which is what we do, like, you know,
it is,
whether, you know, it doesn't have to employ 50 people, but maybe it serves 50 people and, you know.
what I'm saying is you don't
Or
necessarily want
whatever.
something that only 4 people are gonna shop in. or
Sure,
take
sure,
advantage of in a
right.
business, right? And-
Right,
and,
yeah.
you know, you get 4 people across the doorstep in a day, or whatever, or drive traffic that you don't necessarily want in your downtown.
Right.
Right,
But to Jack's, I mean, the way that's written,
and
it
big
really just leaves it open to.
Yeah, and one-
representatives of the people's will to some
Yeah.
extent, right?
Yeah.
yeah, and one of the,
thing too, is that whatever business comes in, you'd have to follow the ordinance
Hmm.
in that district or wherever,
Right,
however.
right.
yeah, and one of the criteria is if it is, does the project that wants a TIF, gonna remove light, right? So if you have an old dilapidated building that needs a lot of work and someone's gonna come in and spend $500,000 rehabbing a building, like an old building, that might be different than, you know, somebody next door to that is just gonna renovate the interior and compete with them, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know, one might get the TIF because they're doing a substantial project and rehabbing the building and removing light, whereas the other one isn't. So we have ways to gauge.
Makes good sense. Does that kind of answer your question in a roundabout way?
Clear, but
All right, is there any other questions or comments from the audience or the council? Hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 25-122, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 25-122 passes. Moving on to resolution 25-123, Nicole.
Resolved that the town council approve the grant agreement for the Bureau of Highway Safety, Safe Streets and Roads for all grant program.
Look for a motion from the council.
make a motion that we adopt resolution 25-123.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Jack, would you want to speak to this one a little bit? or-
Yeah, so this is a grant that, pretty sure we were awarded it or offered it back in 2024. And it's still there, we're able to put under contract. It's basically, it's a planning grant. You can study, basically, vehicle, pedestrian and bike safety. And, you know, in certain areas of the town. We obviously did the VPI, which studied that exact same thing in the main, you know, Main Street area. The whole VPI area, this would go back and look at any of those areas, but mostly focus on areas outside of that. This would apply to that. I've spent some time trying to think of where outside would be worth spending time focusing on, and the 2 places I came up with as possibilities would be if there's any interest in looking at the intersection of Somerset Avenue and Industrial Park Road, where you got so much going on there. If there's some value to seeing whether there should be some kind of signal there, or at least signage, or any different modifications. This one pay for modifications, so it was like pay for kind of planning and studying what might be the best approach there. And then also if there would be potentially a need for anything in the intersection of School Street and Somerset Avenue, if we thought traffic was going to increase with the new school project. So those would be potential areas of focus if we wanted to move ahead with this. But it's something that, you know, we have available to us. We do want to move ahead.
All right, thank you, Jack. Any questions from the audience regarding 25-123? Any questions from the council?
So when I read this, I think I understood it as a review for people on bicycles, is that right? Where you could ride bicycles around town, and then my second question is the town's commitment 30,000?
So the full project amount, we could do as much as $150,000 project, and we would have, 120,000 would be grant and 30, so our share of $150,000 project could be 30,000, yes. If we, only did $100,000 project, then we'd have 20% of that. So we have 20% of whatever the
Okay.
project is, yeah. If we did a small $50,000 project, we'd have to pay 10,000.
And is this to look at for bicycle routes only, or is it pedestrians too? Because those two areas that you just mentioned, are you talking about people walking?
So this was originally written as a grant to update our bike safety plan and our, you know, pedestrian and bike safety plan. When I went back with Patrick and kind of talked about what that actually means in terms of, you know, eligible activities, we mentioned in the contract that we would want to have two areas of focus. One area of focus would be all around traffic safety, whether you're walking, biking, vehicles, whatever, all around traffic safety at those two intersections as two areas of focus for the project. So, yeah, we would probably need to take some broad look at overall bike and pedestrian, you know, safety features of the area, but that wouldn't be the main primary focus of what we would do. It would be more in tune with, and, you know, and we could do an amendment if there was a third area that we really wanted to zero in on, because we thought maybe this area needs to be signaled, maybe it needs, you know, it's not in the VPI, but maybe we need to, you know, reconfigure the crosswalks or something like that. We could, I'm sure we could use this to zero in on that area as well.
You know, I mean, the 80/20 is always nice, but if you don't have something that's glaringly obvious that needs immediate attention or is a, you know, a significant safety issue. You know, part of this thing's talk about bikes and pedestrians going through industrial park. Well, you certainly don't want bikes and pedestrians going through industrial park. There's no sidewalks, there's no, you know, there's no, shoulder, thank you.
I was sitting
Yeah,
there.
I was hoping, I know, I was trying. Been a long day.
Understood.
I mean, you really want them to come down Somerset and down Main Street and things like that, so. You know, right off the bat, I was kind of like, yeah, not really. I think the potential of it, you know, if this could be a benefit to the school project down the road. And talking to Jack, I don't think there's any harm in tabling this for now. But if you're not seeing like an immediate, this is the study we want to do, because yeah, you can do the study and we have the information, but if it's just going to sit on a shelf and you're not gonna act on it, when we have all these other things that are gonna need our attention before this, you know, we don't need to go looking for issues.
Right.
You know, I do like the idea of being proactive and kind of, you know, looking down the road a little bit. But I don't wanna just approve this where we could end up spending 30 grand of something that sits on the shelf.
What's our minimum commitment to it though? Do we have any minimum commitment? Cause that wasn't clear in what I was
No,
reading.
so cause I asked him that, I said, you know, what if we moved ahead with it, then we only did a real small amount of this, and he said, you unwind it really whenever you want, and you're just in for 20% of whatever the costs are that you've incurred at that time, so it wouldn't be a minimum.
So if we approve it, it's in our back pocket, should there be an addition to a project that we have?
But can we can't
We
just,
What we
can
can still,
we can table it and have the same effect
okay,
like that.
if we approve it and sit on it, how long do we have to act on it?
So once this is under contract, you have 5 years to actually do it, so we could put it under contract and then we could theoretically, if we never had enough critical mass of things to focus in on, we could just, you know, let it expire.
Yes, so I think tabling it, that gives us potentially another year.
The clock longer.
You just get another year, then, you know, maybe more of what the school's doing,
Well, let's
maybe.
do the BPI project, because that includes a lot of what this is talking about too. I'd like to see.
Well,
that.
this is outside of this is
This is like
Somerset Ave.
Somerset Ave, I know.
Right, I mean, it ties into it.
But we have so much going on, they're
Right,
talking
right.
about bike paths and pedestrian walkways,
Right.
we might not even need this.
Right, or we can use this and piggyback it with some of the things that we kind of trim out
Yeah.
of the, you know, the VPI budget.
What's the threshold for municipalities to be able to enter into this agreement? Like, is there a certain number of municipalities are gonna be allowed? This is gonna be offered to, and once that's taken up, the funds are kind of done?
Well, so these are federal funds and they're encumbered right now to be put under contract by the entities that have been awarded, so it's basically waiting for us to put it under contract. So there could be a risk where, you know, at some level, they say, okay, well, it's been a year, you know, what do we not yet have under contract? And then they could put a timeline on it and say, okay, well, after 6 more months, if some of these funds aren't under contract, we'll just, you know, withdraw the offer or something like that. So I think that's a potential where, you know, there could be a timeline where if we don't put it under contract, then the funds may go to some other, you know, agency that, you know, has, maybe they need an increase, maybe they.
Right.
Yeah, so, but I don't think we're there yet. I think
And
Yeah, a little bit of
you'd get plenty of a heads up if that was to happen.
I would hope
I
so.
mean, they wouldn't just
I would hope so.
tomorrow pull all the funds.
Yeah.
I mean, well, they could.
I just,
Nowadays.
I
they definitely could.
right, I mean, whatever,
That's right.
however you're feeling
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
federal government right
No, I
now,
know.
it can change quick.
Yeah,
Okay, so-
no, I realize that.
I know that the rep that I work with, if there was any issue, if there was any knowledge that was on the horizon, he would tell me immediately. But, you know, that person could wake up and find an email that says,
Right,
we're
yeah.
gonna, you know, we're gonna unencumber whatever's not under contract, and that would be, you know.
I mean,
It's not
I'm
huge
in,
money.
I'm in favor of taking. That's what I'm in favor of,
Me too.
because we could. I mean, I guess you could do it like an amendment to it if you went under contract and you wanted to add different different areas, or do you have to have it? Like what is here is,
No, we would just do an amendment, and as long as, and.
I just look at it as like an ace in up your sleeve a little bit. I don't care, I can go either way on that, that's fine. But I was just thinking,
Yeah.
that's something where we can say, hey, we don't even have to think about this, because the problem is you get into one of these projects 3 years from now, this money's gone. Right? If we table it too long, the money's gone, but then we have.
right, I'm not saying table it indefinitely.
Then do we set a timeline on it, come back to it in 6 months?
Right.
Put a table, you know, put a
I don't know,
timeline
I
on
mean,
the table.
I don't like,
Like, I wouldn't wanna look at it after budget season next year, like, I want that to be part of our conversation as to what. So
right,
maybe we table it till April,
right, yeah.
something like that, if we're gonna table it, to, you know, put a timeline on it.
Right, but it's, so it's not indefinite.
If not, we're gonna forget about it, right?
Well, we will, hopefully Jack won't, but.
I'll forget it before I hit the steps.
We
No,
definitely-
don't even. I saw it coming.
Joe, you had a question?
I do have several questions, sorry,
Oh, your time's up, sorry, no. go ahead.
I guess the first, so I'm a little bit more clear, is this voting to accept to possibly use the funds or to be part of this project? That you would then have 5 years to use, so what, if you voted today, you'd have 5 years from today to do this, is that?
Yeah, and we're not forced to use the funds.
Yeah, you're
No.
not, but.
If we don't use them, then we don't use them,
That's what I was asking, just to make sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is it research funds or is it funds to do the project? So that the town would be responsible 20% for the research to do the project or?
So it's just a planning grant, so there's no actual construction that goes with it, so the entire project is to, you know, to look at an area and study it and basically come up with recommendations for if you make these physical improvements, you know, certain aspects will be safer. If you put this, signalize this intersection, or if you reconfigure, crosswalks or whatever it may be, those just come in a report. But that's as far as this would go, it won't actually.
Sure.
Implement.
And it seems like right now there are like a lot of, whether it's sewer, water, road, there's a lot of projects that are getting started or on the horizon throughout the town, which are costing quite a bit of money, and from last time we'll raise some costs for people.
Oh, yeah,
For better or worse.
right, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
And this could potentially kind of go, and I think you brought it up, go kind of hand in hand with it. So you do it, there's another project coming up, and you can kind of combine and be like, okay, if we do this, we're gonna tear up the road, we can add this crosswalk, or we can add this bike lane, or we can add this
Right.
other thing while we're doing it. And the funds are being offered now, or the potential funds are being offered now, could go away. It could go away next month, it could go away 2 to 3 years from now, and you're talking about tabling it for a short period of time. Federal funds, if I'm understanding correctly.
yeah,
I've seen a lot of federal fund things, if I could make a suggestion, if you are gonna table it, February at the latest. That would just be my suggestion. It seems like it's a good thing to have on the kind of, your whole back pocket. It could benefit the town if it goes away. It's not gonna cost the town anything to approve it. But if it goes away, it potentially lose the town of a benefit. And the money could go away at any point if they decide that they need to take money and move it somewhere else, or it's not funded, or too many people
Right.
have whatever. This one guy's opinion, it seems like it would benefit the town. I don't think it benefits at all to table it for a couple months. It could only hurt. It could go away next month. It could go away October, November, December, January. It could go away in January. Next thing.
so if we approve it tonight, what's the next step?
One thing you could do, you could approve it and say, just with a stipulation that we don't start the work until we revisit the scope of work, and so we can approve it and just kind of agree that we'll meet again before we actually start the work.
So maybe we push that meeting till like April, where it becomes part of the budget meeting.
Right.
Where that's where we make our decision, once we get a better idea of what the projects are that are gonna be coming up over the next year plus.
And maybe that's when we amend it to, if we need to, for.
Because, the first step would be to advertise for an RFP for a consultant to do the study for us. And we just all agree we're not going to do that until we've, kind of assessed.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel comfortable with that,
yeah,
yeah,
that'd be fun.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to go, I really do.
yeah.
Doesn't cost us anything. We could
No, I
always
just,
say
federal
no.
funding is just so fickle, is probably not the right word, but to some extent
Yeah.
fickle right now.
And even doing this, they would still do it.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
You never know.
Right,
You haven't constructed anything, we're taking it back.
Yeah. Actually, never mind.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
No, that's good, thank you for your input, Joe. Any other comments from the council? I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 25-123, please signify by saying aye.
Did you want an amendment on that?
As amended, yeah, sure.
table until, budget discussion, April.
Well, no, then we'll approve,
Or approve it.
but
And then wait before we act.
Yeah, so you gotta set the time.
And then it has to,
Right.
yeah, it's just, the amendment is to require a council approval to move forward,
Yeah,
Yeah, to,
almost like another resolution to move forward with it.
do we really have
Deal
to,
with that though, I mean,
Well, you gotta go for out for RFP, so
yeah, so it would be,
We're just-
approving the grant contract and then,
RFP to be,
start, uh, to bring the project back to the council, in 2020, in.
spring of
in
2026.
spring of 2026, to begin the project.
okay,
Got that?
Right, well, cause if you don't bring the RFP to us, nothing's moving forward,
Right,
so.
Okay.
We're basically telling you not to bring the RFP forward,
so,
so, I mean, we're approving this, but
Right.
don't bring anything forward.
so we don't need to amend this.
You don't really need to amend it, right?
No.
You're approving it.
it's good the way it is.
Yeah,
We
don't you
approve,
think
we
so?
approve it and then we just hold
And
until
then-
Jack comes forward.
We'll have a discussion before I draft an RFP. We'll have that discussion in the spring.
Yeah, it can be a
Whenever,
discussion item.
whenever you're ready to have it.
Discussion
that'll just be
item.
part of your
Nicole's like,
town
what's the
manager
fun?
report, something like that.
Right.
So there's no, no,
Approve it, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
scribble,
no,
scribble.
we went a little roundabout, that's all right. All those in favor of resolution 25-123, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 25-123 passes. Moving on to resolution 25-124, Nicole.
Resolved that the town council approve a renewal application for a liquor license for Vittles Restaurant at 107 Main Street, Pittsfield, Maine 04967.
For a motion from the council,
Make a motion, we adopt resolution 25-124.
Second.
moved and seconded, I think this will have less discussion.
No questions.
You good? All right. Any questions or concerns from the audience or from the council? Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of resolution 25-124, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, resolution 25-124 passes. Moving on to resolution 25-125, Nicole.
Resolved that the town council appoint members to boards and committees from the list provided.
Look for a motion from the council.
Make a motion, we open for discussion of resolution 25-125.
Second,
Moved and seconded. So we are voting on 3 votes tonight. We are voting to put, Angel, how do you pronounce her last name?
I wrecked it every time.
You only worked here, but that's okay. Angel Aguirre to, Board of Appeals, Angel Aguirre to Board of Ethics, and John Buys to the Library Trustees. And there is still 1 seat available on the Board of Appeals if Angel is approved, anyway. So are there,
We only had papers for the John Byers in our package.
No, hers was, she wrote it up in like an email form. So it was like 3 or 4 pages in there from her right after John's.
yeah,
But it was all typed up. She didn't use the form.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see that.
You see it?
Yeah,
yeah.
I missed that. when I was looking.
Are there any questions, concerns, or comments regarding those 3 appointments to those 3 different seats?
I need decided to do it.
Pretty much. Good.
Joe, there's an open seat on the appeals board,
Board of Appeals.
so check it out.
All those,
I have to amend it, right? It's open for discussion now.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You really, you could just say adopt the resolution, then we discuss the names and
Okay.
you know, in the future,
Okay, Alright, I wasn't sure about that one, thank you. So I close it for discussion,
Sure.
so you have to
I'll look for a motion to close the discussion.
make a motion that we close for discussion.
And I look-
25, 125.
Second.
Move to second. Look for a motion for the council of resolution 125 to appoint Angel Aguirre to the Board of Appeals, Angel Aguirre to Board of Ethics, and John Buys to the Library Trustees.
Make a motion that we approve resolution 25, 125 as stipulated by Mayor Hall.
Second.
Or,
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of resolution 25-125 as described, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 25-125 passed. Moving on to discussion items tonight. Are there any comments from the public tonight? All set? All set. Moving on to councilor comments. Pete,
all set tonight.
all set? Great. Craig, no comment? Bob?
I was gonna say Thanksgiving's coming up. I know the police department and NCI is putting on a meal. I would just like to thank everybody involved in that. That's a great thing, another reason to make Pittsfield a great place to live. That's all I have.
Okay, great. With that,
No comments, thank you.
no comments, and I would echo what Bob said, he stole my thunder, but yeah, Thanksgiving's next week, so hope everybody has a safe and happy Thanksgiving. If you need a meal or want to support or donate time to the MCI and the police department for that great cause, that's always good. And yeah, everybody just have a safe and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Look for a motion to adjourn.
make a motion to adjourn.